In this episode, we're going to go through the snapped phishing line room, which is a part of the phishing module of the SOC Level 1 pathway of TryHackMe. And in SOC Level 1, they actually added a few extra rooms. And this is why we're doing this, because I had originally finished this playlist and they added some extra rooms. So we have this extra one that's in phishing, which is the snap phishing line. And then we have a whole new module, which is the SOC Level 1 Capstone Challenges, which is going to be a series of just challenges. There's no instructionals or anything like that. They're just going to put us through the ringer and see what we learned for the SOC Level 1 pathway. So I'm pretty excited about going through all of this stuff with you so we can wrap up the SOC Level 1 path of TryHackMe. And hopefully you have gone through everything so far, which is inside of the SOC Level 1 playlist, and you know exactly what's going on and what we're doing. And from here, you can kind of just pick up where the new additions were. And then right after this one, we're going to go through the simulations for the SOC. And then we'll go to SOC Level 2, and then we'll finish that up. And then we'll go into the pen testing stuff and everything else. So this is the snapped phishing line room. Now, there is literally nothing in here except this one task, which is the challenge itself and the scenario. And then we'll read through the scenario and see what it is, which is also going to be fairly a short scenario. And then from there, we'll dive into the questions that we need to answer, and we'll get all the flags that we need to get. So it's going to be a good one. I'm excited to go through this exercise with you. If you're serious about your CySec training and want to get access to me on Discord, consider joining Hackaholics Anonymous. We have 4 tiers: the Supporter, Agent, Guardian, and Master, and each tier gets their own Discord server and early access to content. The Agent, Guardian, and Master levels get exclusive content, exclusive downloads, Python automations every single month, live streams, so much more. So to join, you can simply click the link in the description below, or you can go to our homepage and click the join button there, or you can go to youtube.com/@HankHacksHackers/join, and you'll be able to join Hackaholics Anonymous. Now, without further ado, let us actually jump into the snapped phishing line challenge. Okay, so here's the scenario. First, we have a disclaimer. It says it's based on real-world occurrences, and this scenario presents a narrative with invented names, characters, and events, and the phishing kit that's used in this was retrieved from a real-world phishing campaign. Hence, it is advised that the interaction with these artifacts be only done inside of the attached VM, as it is an isolated environment. So these are actual attachments that were created or used inside of an actual phishing campaign. So you don't want to download them onto your own computer and launch them, because they will most likely harm your computer. So the scenario is this, right? So an ordinary midsummer day. As an IT department personnel of Swift Spend Financial, one of your responsibilities is to support your fellow employees with their technical concerns. While everything seemed ordinary and mundane, this gradually changed when several employees from various departments started reporting an unusual email that they had received. Unfortunately, some had already submitted their credentials and could no longer log in. So you proceed to the investigation, and this is what's going on. So there's the analysis of the email samples provided by the colleagues, and analyzing the phishing URLs by browsing it through Firefox, retrieving the phishing kit used by the adversary, using CTI-related tooling, which is cyber threat intelligence, to gather more information about the adversary, and analyzing the phishing kit to gather more information about the adversary. Connecting to the machine, for me, is going to be through the actual Linux box that they provided as the virtual machine for this task. And this is a subscriber-only room, so you do need a subscription to TryHackMe. So this is, let's see, where were we at? Yeah, right here. So you can also remote desktop into this. You can RDP into this, secure shell into this. You do need to have a connection via OpenVPN to pull that off. So if you don't have OpenVPN, you won't be able to do it. And apart from that, if you do connect from your own machine, again, just be very careful opening these attachments, because ultimately it will be launched on your actual machine, on your computer. So my recommendation is, since you need a paid membership to TryHackMe, just use the virtual machine that's inside of TryHackMe, so you don't accidentally download something onto your own computer because you connect it through VPN or something like that. So that is my disclosure to you. Now, the phishing emails are to be analyzed under the Phish emails directory, and usage of a web browser, text editor, and some knowledge of the grep command will be helpful, and we are going to use all of those things. So I already have it opened up inside of my browser. So this is the beautiful machine that we have available to us. And this is the phishing emails folder that contains all of these phishing emails. And I'm just going to open up my terminal just to kind of make life a little bit easier, because it says if we do need a text editor and if we do need access to the actual, the grep command and all that, then it would be useful for us to go ahead and open the terminal already and get ready to run. So here we go. Let us jump into the first question here. It's probably better to actually read all of the questions just so we can understand what is being asked of us, so that if we run across this information, we can pull it up real quickly. So who's the individual who received an email that contained a PDF attachment? What email address was used by the adversary to send the phishing email? What is the redirection URL to the phishing page for the individual Zoe Duncan? Or Zoe, I guess, Duncan. What is the URL to the .zip archive of the phishing kit? What is the SHA-256 hash of the phishing kit? When was the phishing kit archive first submitted? And when was the SSL certificate, the phishing domain used to host the phishing kit archive, first logged? And what was the email address of the user who submitted their password twice? And what was the email address used by the adversary to collect compromised credentials? The adversary used other email addresses in obtaining the phishing kit. What is the email address that ends in Gmail? And what is the hidden flag, the final hidden flag? So the first couple of questions I did already, just because I was kind of just trying to maintain my streak inside of TryHackMe. But these are also really easy to gather. So let's actually jump into our file right here. So what we can see is we actually have 5 .eml files. So when you look at the extension of all of these emails, we see that we have a .eml file, and they belong to the different employees. So this one belongs to Derek Marshall. This one belongs to Michael Ascott. This is Michelle Chen. This is Zoe Duncan. And we have the quote services that are available here. So that's it. I think that's it, right? Yeah, that's all we got. So those are the emails themselves, and the EML files, I should say. So the first question is, what is the one that contains the .pdf? Now you can always just open this up, right? And you can go through each one of these: Derek Marshall, Michael Ascott, Michelle Chen, Zoe Duncan, and who do we have? The quote services rendered, which I think is actually, this is like the last email that shows us the name of the person, because each one of these have the name of the user in them. This last one doesn't have a name of a user, and that's the one that I believe the answer was in originally when I looked into it. So the first way that I want to try to do this is I want to try to see if there's a way that we can just write a quick little script inside of Secure Shell for us to process all of the data for these EML files, to basically parse through the data of the EML files so that we can see which one actually contains whatever that we need, right? So this is the desktop where the phish emails directory is at. And then so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do, we'll do like an email search.shell file is what we're going to create. And then I'm just going to write this real quick. And from there, we'll kind of run it and hopefully it'll work. If not, I'll just do manually and we'll just go through all of those files manually. So let's try it and see if this works. Okay, cool. There we go. We start with creating an email directory variable where we will actually store the path of the phish emails folder, which is where all the phishing emails actually are. The output file is going to be the PDF attachment results.txt. This command right here clears the output file just in case there's data inside of the output file. In this particular case, there isn't, but if we run this script more than once, then we're going to have results inside of the output file, so we want to clear it just in case. And then we have this for loop, which is basically where the bulk of the work is being done, or like grand majority of the work is being done. So for each file that is inside of the email directory that ends with .eml, what we want to do is if we want to check to see, number one, if the file itself actually exists, right? If there is a file type that exists over there, what we're going to do is first we're going to concatenate that variable, and we're going to search through that variable to see if there is something that is attached to it that has a content type of application or PDF. And I think it's actually supposed to be, I don't think it's supposed to be application, or maybe it is supposed to be application. So application /PDF. And then from there, we're going to also, so this is like a double requirement. So the first requirement is first we're going to grep to make sure that there is something called a content type attribute that actually has a value. And then we're also going to look at the file again, and we're going to see if there is the file name, whatever the file name would be. And this is specific to, what do we call it? And this is not supposed to be a plus sign. It's supposed to be an equal sign. So the file name value is going to have the regular expression of anything that ends with a PDF, essentially. So we're first looking for an actual attachment, and then if there is an attachment, we're also going to grep through the attachment to see if there's a .pdf extension inside of the attachment, because I've looked at the emails themselves, and there's a bunch of .html files that are in there. And then we're going to, if that actually is the case, right? So this is where the end of this comes in. It's kind of slow going, but when we look at it, we say, okay, so if those two conditions are met, if there is actually an attachment, and if the attachment has a file name attribute that ends with PDF, then I want you to do this other thing, which is this part right here, where it's going to concatenate the file, and it's going to grep for that content type application and put it inside of our output variable, which is the output file that we have. And then it's going to also concatenate the file and take the file name attribute that is ending with a PDF, and it's going to put it inside of the output file that we have as well. And then finally, it's going to just echo onto the screen for us that this is the file that was put into the output file, and then we're going to finish those two if statements, and then we're going to finish our for loop, and it will be done, and it's going to say echo search is completed, and that's it. So I'm going to do Control O to save that. I'm going to do Control X to run that. So I don't know if this is going to work, because the last time that I went through this, I did a manual search, but I do sometimes when you go through a bunch of different EML files to search for something, it's going to take a while for them to load, and it's very time consuming. So if all it takes is to spend 2 or 3 minutes to write something like that, and then you can go through essentially hundreds of .eml files, because assuming that you have a large employee group, you will most likely have a lot of .eml files. So if that is indeed the case, you want to do something that's a little bit time saving, right? So we now have the email search shell file, but it's not executable yet. So we do need to actually turn it into an executable. So we're going to do chmod plus x, and then we'll do email search.sh, and we're going to now turn it into an executable, and we can see that it's been turned into that because it's been turned green. But you can also just do lsla, and then you can see that this actually has the executable permission attached to it. Let me kind of zoom in on this a little bit here. So now we actually have all our executables. So now I can just run this thing, and let's see what happens. And it says the results have been written to the PDF attachment. So cat PDF attachment, and there's nothing in here. So we do have a PDF attachment result. So let's now go look into the nano PDF attachment, and there's nothing in there either. So that it leads me to believe that the script didn't work, because I do know that there is actually a file that ends with the PDF. So that's the part that seems to be a little bit interesting. So let's see if I can do a quick troubleshooting of this, and then if I can't, then we'll just manually look at them. So no big deal. Okay, so here is what I learned. So I opened up one of the emails, and then I looked at the source of it, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And what we found was that the attributes were different. So I just kind of assumed, based on previous exercises, that the attributes for the attachment is going to be something like this. And so I need to modify it so that it actually finds the given attribute that we're looking for, including the value that we need, etc. So it's going to be a little bit more complex than what you just see right here. But I mean, in the event that you would be interested to create anything like this, I think you will be happy that we go through this kind of an exercise. So I'm going to create it, and then from there we will analyze it a little bit, and then we'll hopefully get a chance to actually run it, and it will give us the results that we're looking for. So that's the goal here, and I'm hoping that it will actually work this time around. If not, we're gonna have to do some manual manual searching through these email files. So I will modify this script and then we'll look at it, review it, and then we'll hopefully get our answer. Okay, so here we go. I did get a little bit of assistance for this specific block of text because we are actually looking at base64 data as it said in our source code for the .eml file, and I just wanted to make sure that I did this correctly because I want this to succeed. This is way beyond the scope of this video and this room, and I'm trying to give you extra information so that you become even more equipped. So you could do all of this by just manually analyzing the email .eml files as well as everything else. But again, I want this to actually be an extra piece of information for you just in case you're dealing with many more .eml files. And if you actually create this script in any other environment, this will actually be very, very useful for you. And that's kind of the goal here, is to give you more tools and equip you better. So as we see right here, as it stands, okay, the first portion of the script is exactly the same. So all of this stuff is exactly the same. And leading up to this if statement that we see right here, all of that is exactly still the same. The stuff that has changed is assuming that there is a file, right? So if there is a file, so it says for file in this directory that ends at .eml, if there's a file, then this is what I want you to do. I want you to concatenate that file, and I want you to search through it. And what we're going to do is these flags right here, the I, Q, and capital E. I is that you're going to do it, you're essentially in search, in case insensitive mode. So you basically want to see if there's anything either lowercase or uppercase that would match this. Q is in quiet mode, so don't display it onto the screen. And then the capital E that we see right here is so that we can do regular expressions in an extended format, which is what we see right here. This is like an extended format regular expression. Now, this is kind of a whole other video. So there is a video that I have on regular expressions, which is very, very useful. And I do recommend you go check it out. But for the most part, everything inside of these quotes right here that you see right here is the full regular expression. The content type right up until this colon is a literal matching that we're looking for. The \S+ is looking for one or more spaces, empty spaces. If it was a capital S, it would be looking for something else. So you do need to look for a lowercase s to get empty spaces. And then we're going to look for text / HTML, which is again going to be a literal matching that we're looking for. And then the \, again, S+, because we're looking for empty spaces again. And let me just make sure I'm not missing any of these elements right here. Yeah, so this is actually looking for this is the literal string. Over here, we're looking for the empty spaces again. And then we're going to look for name in literal again. And then from here, or I guess it's name, and then this / right here allows us to search for this as a pattern, and in this particular case we're looking for anything that ends with a .pdf, right? So these backslashes are known as escape characters because we're not looking, we want to be able to look for a literal dot, because a dot in regular expressions also represents a wildcard character. So again, go check out the regular expression video just to really understand what this is when we're going through regular expressions. But for the most part, this whole thing is a regular expression that basically looks for the content type attribute. It looks for text HTML being the content type, and then it's looking for any file that actually ends with a .pdf. Now, if that actually exists, then what it's going to do is it's going to go and search for the, let me make sure that we are there before I start explaining. So if that actually exists, then it's going to go through this second portion of this, where it's going to then concatenate that file, and it's going to look for content disposition being attachment. So this is all part of the same condition, right? So an if statement is a conditional statement inside of any coding language, and we're looking for two conditions to match. The first one would be that it actually has the content type attribute that ends with .pdf, and it also has this other portion where there's a content disposition attribute that has attachment. Now, if both of those are good, then what we're going to do is we're going to concatenate and look for the contents of that specific file, meaning concatenate the files that are inside of this directory right here. And we're going to take this portion and we're going to output it into our output file, which is what we see right here. And then we're also going to take the next portion of it, which is going to be the content disposition attachment portion, and then we're going to put it into the output file, and then we're going to echo onto the screen, essentially log onto the screen that we put this inside of the output file. Now, being that there was a base64 encoded portion of that, we're also looking for the base64 data, and that is going to be stored inside of this variable. And when you put a $, and if you don't know how to do all of this, and this is all over your head, go check out the scripting video for the Linux Plus playlist, and we go into the creation of variables using the bash or shell languages. So when you put a $, in front of a variable, so for example, in this case, we created a variable, and the variable itself, the value of it was just a string, right? So we're just saying that this is going to be this, or this is going to be this. If you want to store a command inside of a variable, then what you do is you put the $, and then you open up parentheses and you write the entire command inside of the parentheses, and the output of this entire command is going to be stored inside of this base64 data variable. Again, if this is all over your head, I do recommend that you actually go check out the shell scripting video, which is the last video inside of our Linux Plus training series, where we actually go through a variety of shell scripts and we create simple and complex shell scripts. And so that whole thing is going to take the Perl, this is like a Perl execution of the grep command, where we actually search through it using types of Perl syntax, excuse me. So we're using Perl syntax to search for that base64 data. So the OP uses the Perl compatible regular expression, and then the $, that you see right here, this $, question mark, or where am I? Right here, this portion right here. It's not a $, it's the actual question mark S. There we go. So the question mark S that we see inside of these parentheses is enabling dottle mode, or dottle, basically a dot matching a new line is basically what we're looking for. I think it's pronounced dottle or dottle, whatever. So that's looking for dots representing new lines. And then we have the content transfer encoding base64, which this whole piece right here, which is actually matching the encoding header. And then it uses that \K to just discard the encoding header. And then this piece right here captures the base64 data, okay? And then the two dashes, so let me move forward a little bit. Let's see if we can we go? Okay, so these two dashes, it's kind of like it's at the end of the line, so it's a little bit tough. But these two dashes, and then these are all stored inside of these single quotes right here. Again, way beyond the scope of this video, so I'm just giving you way more information that you actually need. So if you don't want to look through this, and if you want to just look at the manual, you can go ahead and look at the manual search that we do later on in the video. So you can skip through this if you want, but again, I'm giving you way more than you need. So the dashes stop the capture at the boundary of the encoded attachments right here. So they stop the capture so that it doesn't keep looking for more data past this portion. And then the head N1 is just taking that very first match of this, which is what we have right here. This is the head N1, and it looks for the first match that comes out of that. Now, the next section of conditions is looking for the base64 data. So it's looking if the base64 data variable is actually not empty, meaning if there's something that shows up when we do this grep right here, then what you're going to do is you're going to go through that file name, you're going to grep through that file name, and you're going to look for anything that might be PDF. And then from there, you're going to, if the file name variable is not empty, then you're going to echo that, hey, we found this, and then we're going to put it inside the file name variable. And then we also found the decoded data, and we're going to put it inside of the file name variable. And then outside of that, let me make sure that I'm in the right line here. So that's all the base64 stuff. So this matches this condition. So this is assuming that there is actually something that was yielded from the file name search that we did right here. If there was nothing yielded from the file name search, you're just going to display onto the screen that there was no file name found, and we're going to save that data inside of an unknown.pdf variable. And if indeed that is the case, let's move on. We're going to base 64 the data that's been encoded and saved to the unknown.pdf. So this is all this condition, these series of conditions, and then that's going to be finished. So we will do fee, or the reverse of if, basically. And the next line is going to be the else for this. So this is looking for the base 64 data. If there is no base 64 data, then the else for this is going to say, hey, there was no base 64 data that we found, and we're going to log that into our file, and then finish, and then finish, and then finish. And then we're officially done with the full series of if statements and conditions, and then we're going to do search complete. So again, I understand this is way more than you actually need for this room. I'm just giving you way more information to keep you more capable. If you're dealing with a lot of .eml files, which is what happens in a really large enterprise situation, you do need to know how to build scripts like this, and then you need to know how to pull the data to be able to find those attributes, which I'm going to share how we actually found those attributes. But apart from that, you do need to learn how to create scripts to be able to cycle through all of those EML files to be able to find what you need. Now, all of that being said, I have no idea if this is going to yield any results. If it does not yield any results, then we're just going to move on and we're going to do a manual search. If it does yield some results, then hopefully we'll be able to like quickly find the information that we need. So I'm going to remove this PDF attachment results file, and we should have an empty directory. There we go. So now we're going to do the email search. And unexpected EF line matching for this, so that on line 17 syntax error, unexpected end of file. So on line 17 and line 39, I have a syntax error. So I got to go find what I did wrong over there. So let me go and fix that real quick. Okay, so it was literally a missing quote that I had to add to. Let me actually show you the file so you know what's up. But it was basically a missing quote that I had on the line where it had this thing right here. So the file name right here. After this command ends, or this name equals etc. etc. This last singular quote was missing. And then I had at the end of the file, I also had the previous series of done fee, as well as this whole piece. Like I had this whole piece that was duplicated at the very end of the file that I forgot to delete, because I started typing inside of the file without deleting that last segment. So those were our two errors. So this should be the very end of the file. It should look like this. There should not be any more done fees at the end of it. And this is exactly what it should look like. And then the file name, again, just needs to have that singular quote at the end of that. So now we have that. We're going to exit out of this. We're going to clear the screen. What's going on? Let's make sure that we're here. Okay, cool. So here we go. Fingers crossed. Let's make sure. Let's see if this actually works. Okay, so search complete, results written to PDF attachment. So cat PDF attachment. And oh, wow, look at that. It worked. So it said content type, text HTML. Name is quote.pdf, which is the actual PDF file. Content disposition, and file Phish email quote services for this, etc., base 64 not found. So now here's the thing. So it needs to tell me which file this quote PDF belongs to. And that's the issue, that it's not printing onto my screen. Well, and I completely forgot to put that logic in there. But at least the code works, which is excellent. I'm very happy to see that it works. Now I just need to make sure that I put a little bit of logic in there for it to actually print the file name onto the screen for us, so that we know which file includes that quote PDF. Okay, this is where we add it. So it's towards the top of our for loop here. So for file found in email directory, if there is an actual file, or so for file that's inside of the email directory that ends with a .eml. If you actually find a file, then go through this and see if you can find the .pdf in it. And then if you do, this is the line that we added. So echo that we found the PDF file inside of that file name, and then just put it into our output file. So that's basically it. So I'm going to close this out, and we're gonna clear the screen, and then we're just gonna run the email search one more time. And there we go. So now we're going to do a cat of the PDF attachment, and it should say found it inside of the Phish emails quote for services rendered process da 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 da. So that's the actual EML file that includes this .pdf. So all of that, we just did all of that work to be able to locate this specific email, and then now we got to open it and go through it. And again, I do understand that if there are only 5 EML files, you don't need to do all of that. But in the event that there are 500 EML files and you need to search through all of those EML files, then you do need a script that will work exactly the way that this script just worked for us. So this is what we got. So now I'm going to open this thing inside of our Thunderbird email. And from there, I actually have it opened up twice. So I'm just going to go and close one of these things, and then we're just going to go look at the Thunderbird email, which is going to be this thing right here. So now what it's going to say is that it's going to say, the question was, who was this delivered to, right? Who's the person that that received it? And it is William McLean, which is the answer for that question right here. And it says what email address was used by the adversary to send the phishing email. And this is the email address, accounts.payable@group marketing. And it's also available right here from group marketing accounts payable. And there it is. So thank you for bearing with me as we figured that out. Hopefully, after I edit away all of the errors and all of the weight and all of that, it shouldn't take that long to see what we just created. And hopefully that'll serve useful for you when you're dealing with very many files that you need to sift and sort through. So those are the first 2 questions. Now we have these other questions that I don't have previous answers to. So it says, what is the redirection URL to the phishing page for the individual Zoe Duncan? And we want the defanged format for it. So now we know who we're actually looking for, and it's this email, which is for Zoe Duncan. So I'm just going to open this up, and we're going to look for the redirection URL for Zoe Duncan. And this is the URL that we have over here. So I'm just going to right click on this, and then I'm going to, let's see, I don't want to, oh, interesting. So usually it allows you to actually copy the link address. And so I don't want to copy the actual email as if I want to see the forwarding, the hyperlink, right? The, what are the href is like the technical HTML type of code that you would use to create a hyperlink. So what we want is, and this is actually a good way to show you how I found the other attributes anyway. So we're going to go view, and then we're going to look at message source right here. So when you click on view inside of Thunderbird, it'll give you a few different options. You can look at, the headers in all or full format, message body, etc., etc. So I want to look at the message source, and when I do this, it's going to open up inside of a text editor like we see right here. Now there are a few different ways that I can search for the hyperlink that is available on here. Now if I do for href or which is basically the hyperlink HTML code to actually create a hyperlink, I'm going to get a hyperlink for this, I'm going to get a hyperlink for the one down here. And I'm more interested in the very, very first one, and both of them technically have the same value anyways, so that should be, in either case, it should work fine. So we're going to do this, and then we're going to right click on that. We're going to copy that, and then we'll see if that'll actually, where's my text editor that I had? There's the text editor. So in here, we can just go, I wonder if Control F would work, and Control F does work. So Control F, and then it'll bring this find for you, and then we do Control V, and it'll print it, right? So it'll paste it in here. So the very first one is going to be from. So obviously that's the from address. Then the next one is going to be the, let's see if I can find it. Okay, so every other version of it is actually not doing the accounts at or accounts.payable, etc. What it's doing is that it's using the I believe it's a URL encoded version of it, because we don't see accounts dot. We see accounts equals 2e and then payable at g da 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 da. So what we're seeing is the encoded version of these things. And I mean, even when I found the portion where it says contact us by emailing such and such, it's actually not showing me the hyperlink for this, because it doesn't seem to be a hyperlink that is pointing to. It's literally pointing to the email address that you would send to. So what we're looking for is an actual link that's available over here. And so what do we have? We have new island. There's a link right here, which is the HTTPS, and then the LinkedIn version, and then there's the YouTube, etc., etc. So I'm trying to find the thing that has an actual hyperlink that she gets pointed to. And even on here, I don't really see I mean, this is literally the email. So I don't see what the hyperlink would be to the redirect that we would get to see what that is. So there's the the attachment, which is the direct credit advice. And now it says save the file directcreditadvice.html or open it with Firefox. So I'm going to open up the HTML file and see where that opens up to. I feel like it's going to open up on our local machine, so that may not be the one that we're looking for anyways. So let's see, let's kind of rummage around and see what we can find. So when we open that HTML file, we land here, and it looks like it's a Microsoft login, but when you actually look at the domain, it's obviously not a Microsoft domain. So I'm going to copy that whole thing. So I'm going to do Control A and I'm going to do Control C to copy it. And then to defang something, you always want to use CyberChef because it just makes your life very, very easy. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to defang a URL. So that's the full URL that's available over here. Now what I need to do is I need to defang it. So I'm going to go inside of my operations here and I'm going to type in defang. And you're going to get a few different options. You have defang URL or defang IP address. I want to do defang URL, and I type that in here, and it creates the defang version of it for me, which is a combination of a few things. It turns HTTP into HXXP. It'll wrap a lot of these elements into these square brackets, so all of the dots essentially are wrapped in square brackets and all of that. So I'm just going to copy that whole output that I have over here, and I'm going to go inside of my answers, and we're going to paste this, and let's see if that's correct. And it says it's not correct. So the redirection URL for the phishing page for Zoe, and I mean I feel like that really is it. So I don't understand why that wouldn't work. So let's see. So we are definitely on the right path. This is actually the specific thing that we're looking for, but I think this is too much of an IP address, and the value is massive. It doesn't seem to be working properly. I'm just going to keep the browser open just to make it load a little bit faster. We do want to see where the headers are for this, and inside of the source, again, we can just go ahead and find the various sources. So let me just close this specific item, which is the other one that we had, and then we have the Zoe Duncan here. So we're going to go view, and then we're going to look at the message source one more time, and then it would also be included inside of these locations. So what we're looking for specifically is the HTTP that would show up first, the very first HTTP, which is the URL that we're going to be sent to in this particular case. So, or excuse me, we're looking at the wrong thing. My apologies. We're supposed to be looking at the credit device right here. So I'm going to download this specific item. So I'm going to click save at the bottom right. We're going to save that, and we will save it on our desktop, and then we're going to save it over there. And now we can go ahead and essentially grep through it for the item, for the redirect. So let's go ahead and grep through it for the redirect. All right, so there is the HTML file, the direct credit advice. So we'll just do a quick little lesson, see what we can find here. And this is what we got. So this is the very top of this whole thing. And you see right here, this is the actual URL. So the redirecting right here is the piece that we're looking for. So if you're not redirected automatically, please click on da 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 da. So this is the whole thing, and I need everything that is inside of this piece right here. So I'm going to take that whole thing, and we will do a copy of that, and then we'll go to CyberChef one more time, and let's paste that in here. So yeah, definitely much shorter. It is the Kenna Roads location. I just went to the actual browser, and I think the browser was giving me more data than I needed. So let's do this. Okay, there we go. So we got that, and I am officially, yay, I got my 9-day streak. I used to have like a several 100-day streak, and then I got sidetracked by life. Okay, so there we go, redirection URL, and we were able to find it inside of our HTML file by just simply going through the contents of the HTML file, and this is what we have. So when you do less, it gives you portions of it instead of giving you the full thing. And let me Control C out of that to see if I can escape out of that. Q gets you out of the less command. I completely forgot. So less basically lets you look at a document page by page or section by section, we can say. And then if you need to escape out of it, you would just press Q, and then you'd be able to get out of that. So there we go. The direct credit advice HTML was that. And so now the next question that we have here is, what is the URL to the zip archive of the phishing kit? The URL to the zip archive of the phishing kit. So let's go and actually grab this URL. So we'll do this first. So we'll just take this whole URL right here, and then we'll open it up in our Firefox browser. And let's see what we get here. Oh, it's Control V. There we go. Okay, so there we go. So we have update365.zip would be the actual, I believe that's the location. So if I do update365.zip would be the full path for that. And I think it's going to download. Yeah, it'll download the zip file. So that is the full path of the zip archive. So we will go ahead and copy that, go over here, and then paste that here. Or wait, paste that. Come on, what am I doing? There we go. Okay, cool. So now this is the defanged version of the zip. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to go and paste that over here. Cool. So what is the SHA-256 hash of the phishing kit archive? Phishing kit archive. I'm guessing this is what this is. I don't know if we need to open it or if we need to, what is it, like unzip it. So let's see if we do need to unzip it. Where is the zip file? So that would probably be inside of our downloads. Okay, there we go. So there it is. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do SHA-256 sum, and then we're going to do update zip. And that's the SHA-256 of the update zip. So I wonder if I need to actually, what is it? De-zip it or unzip it for this to work. So let's try the zipped version. Oh, okay. So no, it is the zipped version. So you don't even need to unzip the file. You basically, as long as you have it downloaded, which is what I did, right? So I went to the browser and if you click on this, it'll just download it for you. Or if you just go kennaroads.buzz/data/update365 zip, it'll just download the zip file for you, and it'll be inside of your downloads folder. And that's what the SHA-256 sum of it is. Now it says, when was the phishing kit archive first submitted? So what's the hint here? It says, use a well-known open source tool to gather more information about the domain. Oh, that's easy. So we're just going to go to VirusTotal, and we're going to search for the SHA-256. There we go. And there it is. So we're looking for the first submitted date for this. And it's by 31 out of the 67 vendors have flagged this thing as a phishing. So first submitted date, boom, right here. So first submitted date is this thing right here. So just going to take the whole thing. Whoops, let me take that last C right there, copy that. And this is the, yeah, so there we go. Cool. When was the SSL certificate, the phishing domain used to host the phishing kit archive, first logged? And the hint for this is no longer available to reliably answer this question. Oh, interesting. Yeah, because I think it expired, so they haven't renewed it. So there you go. If you're looking for certificate information, you can always find the certificate information by clicking on this little button right here where it says, it's like right next to the domain in your browser. So if you actually go look at that, it's literally right next to it. And it's usually like represented by either like a lock symbol or something, right? So when you do that, and then you go to connection is secure, and then it says certificate is valid, and then you open that up, and then you actually get the certificate information, right? And it says issued on or expires on, whatever. It'll give you the hash value of the certificate and the public key and all that information. So, and then you can click on the details and you'll be able to get more information. Now, that's actually if there is a certificate that's available. If there's no certificate available, then you can't pull that information. And we can tell that there's no certificate available because it's an HTTP domain. It's not an HTTPS domain. And that's very, very important to kind of wrap your head around. If it's HTTP, that means it's not a secured version of HTTPS, or it's not a secured version. So we see it right here, right? So it's XXP. Usually there would be an S at the end of it if it was a secure domain. And if it was a secure domain, that means there's some kind of a certificate. But there is no secure domain, meaning there's no certificate. So the answer for this was actually given to us. Now, what was the email address of the user who submitted their password twice? Golly, who submitted their password twice? So where can we even find this information? So what do we have here? We have the actual files. So let's go into this directory. There's a log inside of this directory. So let's look at the log here. Isaiah submit. Oh, I see. So there we go. Isaiah submitted his password. This guy submitted his password. Michael Ascot submitted his password. Let me see. So what can we do? What's like the easiest way that we can find this? So what we will do is we'll go for each of these passwords. I'll just do this. I'm going to copy the password. Oops, not select all. I'm going to first copy the password. So I'll highlight it, I'll copy it, and I'll do Control F, and then I will search for the password and see how many times it shows up. So it says 1 of 1, meaning it showed up once. And then we'll take this next password and we'll copy it and search for it. Oh, 2 matches. So there we go. 1 of 2 matches, invoice 2023. So this is who? Michael Ascot that did it. So where's the next match? That is also Michael Ascot, who submitted his password twice. Come on, Michael. What are you doing with your life? So what is the email address of the user who submitted their password twice? That's what we're looking for. So do we have his email address? We do. This is his email address. I am ashamed of Michael. No, I mean, he probably doesn't know. we can't be mad at him. He wasn't trained properly. What was the email address used by the adversary to collect compromised credentials? So that is now what we're looking for. So let's see if we can actually find that over here. So none of this information is actually relevant to the person who's capturing it. It's mostly the people who actually submitted their information. There is another directory here. So if we go to Office 365, there was nothing found over here. So let's see if there's any other information that we can find that would be useful to us. So if we unzip the Update 365 zip file, there's a many data points that are over here. We have, delete PHP error log, a variety of other information over here. And we're looking for something that might be interesting to us. So enter password.php. Let's see, favicon, logo, robots, resubmit, submit.php. That seems interesting. So let's see if we can. So now what happens? So if I have this, I have an update 365. So if I actually go into the update 365, I will see Office 365. So I will go into Office 365 and then I will see this information. And so where's the submit PHP file? So submit PHP is inside of validation. So let's go into validation and let's see what's in here. So we do have submit PHP. So we're going to cat the submit.php. See what information that we find over here. So this is the contents of the submit PHP file. Now what we're looking for is something that would submit or, submit the information, right? So we're looking for the thing that would actually have that person's email address in there. And that is something that I am curious about too. So let's see what we can find. So there's this email right here. It's under the send variable. I'm guessing it would send it to this person. So we could try this one. Let's try if this is the actual, let's see if this is the actual email address that is receiving that information. Oh, it is. Okay, great. So it's being sent to whoever this is, menpat or m3npat something. So this is the person that is receiving all of the compromised credentials. The adversary used another email address in the obtained phishing kit. What is the email address that ends in @Gmail? So this would be a little bit easier for us to search through. So we can click on the search button up here And what we're going to do is we're just going to do @gmail.com, press enter, and see if anything shows up. And I don't know if it's searching through this document. Maybe it's not. So let's see if I can go find something that is @gmail in here. Oh, there it is. Okay, so this is actually inside of the update or updat. It's not even, instead of doing this, let me just ls real quick. So I looked through a few of these files here. There's the updat.cmd, so updat.cmd. And inside of that, we actually have at the very, very bottom right here, we have the James Tanner 2299 @gmail. So let's see if that is potentially the answer that we're looking for here. And let's do that. Okay, cool. Very nice. And what is the hidden flag? So what's the hint for this? It says the flag contains a .txt extension and some adjustments should be downloadable from the phishing URL. Look for the flag in every subdomain directory of the phishing URL. Okay, that's exciting. So the phishing URL itself, it says we're looking for in every subdomain directory of this thing for a .txt file. So I am obviously not going to manually search through this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, there's a tool that is really useful for this actually. It's GoBuster, and GoBuster will actually enumerate something for you and look for file extensions inside of any given domain name. So let's see if we even have GoBuster installed on this machine, because if we do, it would make our lives very, very easy. So let's go into, whoops, I need to go into the main directory for my guy, which is right here. So we'll go into the desktop and okay, cool. There's all of our data. So let's see if we just do GoBuster, and it says the command GoBuster cannot be found, but it can be installed with apt install GoBuster. So maybe that might not be the, I mean, dude, I don't want to go through all of these directories here to see if I can find a text file. So maybe I can, I guess, right? So maybe we can do kennaroads.buzz/data. Maybe inside of all this stuff, there is actually something that we can use. Log.txt, Office 365, that's not accessible. There's a log.txt, parent directory, update65.zip, kennaroads.data. So let's see if we just go to Kenna Rhodes' website, see what we can find over here. And inside of it, there might be something. So mind blown, a blog about philosophy. And there would be some kind of a text file in here. Okay, so I cannot download GoBuster because I am not a sudo user on this computer. And really, I mean, what happens is when we try to navigate this website, because it basically tells us in the hint to navigate the website, to like go through everything inside of it. And so if we go to the parent directory, these are the only two things that are available: update 365 zip and an update 365. And if we go over here, we can see that there's the log text file, and then there's the Office 365. And then this is a not found, essentially, meaning that we can't look for, or it's either not found or it's like a dead domain or something. And then one of the things that I also did is I went into the, let's see, we want to go into the downloads folder, and we have this update 365 location here, right? So essentially, if I do print working directory, this is where my actual directory is right now. And what we can do is we can search for the individual path itself to see if there's anything like a text file inside of that path. So just in case maybe it's inside of that folder. So what I did previously was I went into home, Damien Hall /downloads, and then /update 365. So we want to search inside of that location, and we're looking for a file type that has a name that ends with the .txt, like that. So we press enter on this, and then we only get these two specific files right here. So if I do a cat of the, let's say, the robots, right? So if I do Damien Hall /downloads /update 365, and then /office 365, and then /robots.txt. So let's say if we do that, we have these various locations, or these various, I guess, extensions, because kind of that's what it does for you, robots, is it kind of shows you the things that were indexed by the various search engines or the things that you want them to index. So we have these specific locations or these things, and none of these things are a flag or anything that would be of use to us. And then so what I'll do is I'll just copy this whole thing and we'll just use that as our cat option to see if there's anything inside of that location. Maybe, I don't know. So we'll paste that and then we'll do robots.txt. What are you doing? Why are you... Did it actually... Wait. Okay, cool. Okay. So even with this, I still don't have anything that would be interesting or useful to me. So none of this stuff, unfortunately, is useful to us. So what we can do in this case is if we just, I don't know, this is like a, now we're just trial and error. So what if we add a, let's do asterisk.txt. Anything shows up, nothing shows up. And I don't think that's even a query. So what if I do flag.txt? Oh, look at that. Wow. Honestly, really, that's like a shot in the dark. That was like a throwing anything at the wall to see if it sticks. So this is the secret. So I'm guessing this is our flag. Now this is an encoded version of the flag. So find out the type of encoding. Let's do that. And then if we do encoding explorer, and then let's paste it in here and see what this might be. So it is, well, these are the various types of encoding. I'm just trying to see what type of encoding I got. So I don't want you to decode it for me. I want you to tell me what the potential encoding actually is. All right, so what I'm just gonna do is I'm gonna input it inside of CyberChef, and I'm going to do that. Now, what is this magic button? It says from base64 will produce this, which is what that does. Oh, interesting. It actually has something here. So THM play with, interesting. That I think that's actually it. So what needs to happen is that I just need it to be reversed, because I feel like this is exactly it. It seems like this would be the flag, except it's in reverse, which is kind of odd. So let me see. That's interesting. Okay, so let's see. I think we're getting close. Look at that. It actually worked. So there's another operation inside of CyberChef, which is called reverse. So I did from base64, which basically turned that, and that was like an automatic detection. So it actually does work in that regard as well. So we'll do it like this, right? So I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to remove this, and then there's this little magic button right here that kind of detects what it might be. So if you click that, it'll actually reverse it for you, or it'll decode it for you. It'll implement the operation that might work, which is from base64 in this case. And then we just need to reverse it to actually get the flag. And that was me just, again, kind of like, oh, this looks like it might be the flag. So let's see if that is actually the flag. And I think that is the flag. So let's go into our little location here. And then let's click on this and type that in. And that indeed was the flag, my friend. So we finished the snapped phishing line exercise. So that was it. That was pretty cool. It was a nice little exercise that we were able to run. You got a chance to see what it's like to create a shell file, a shell script to be able to run through a bunch of .eml files, or really any kind of file, and look for a specific type of attribute and an extension, and you were able to do that. I don't know if you skipped through that portion to just look at the manual versions of the test, or if you actually hung with me as we went through it. But really, if you just wanted to manually look for something, it's not difficult to do, because you would just open every single one of these files over here. And then when you open the file, at the bottom of each one of those files, there's an attachment. And so if you looked at it, this is it. There's the quote.pdf attachment that's available in this file. So it's not hard to do manually if you have a handful of files to look through. But if you have hundreds of files, because you're looking at, a company that has hundreds of employees. So if you have hundreds of files, then that would be a little bit more time consuming. It would be very difficult to do. So you need to be able to look through every single one of those files using some kind of a script. So you got a chance to do that. You got a chance to see what that's actually like. And then we went and looked at the redirection URL that was found. What is the URL to the zip file? We found it, the SHA-256 hash value of it, the phishing kit archive. When it was submitted, we got this from VirusTotal. The SSL certificate didn't exist anymore, so they actually just kind of gave us that answer inside of this question hint that we had. And then the email address of the user who submitted their first password, and that was available when we actually visited that domain and we looked at the update, the log itself that was on that domain. The email address that was used to collect the compromised credentials, and we had to actually download the zip file and go through the various documents or the various scripts, the PHP scripts and things like that, to be able to find it. And then from there, the adversary used other email addresses, and we found that in the backup. No, it wasn't the backup. It was the update. So there was submit.php that we found this information from, his actual password. And then the update.php was the one that we found the backup email address. And then finally, we literally, I mean, I tried a few different ways to find that final text file, but ultimately it just came down to going to the browser and just like kind of, throwing a Hail Mary and just putting that flag.txt. Now, if I was able to download GoBuster, you could just run a GoBuster scan against this domain and it would show you all of the TXT files that are on this domain. So that would be the other way that we could have done it, but we weren't able to download GoBuster. We had to do most of this stuff manually. And any engineering guy, any cybersecurity person, or guy or gal, any cybersecurity person that is on the engineering side will tell you that you want to automate things as much as you possibly can. This room kind of limited us, and they didn't want us to do it because I think this is still a little bit on the beginner side of things, because we are doing SOC level 1 and all of that. So for the most part, we were supposed to do everything manually, but I like to kind of go off script a little bit and go down some rabbit holes and see if there's anything that I can share with you that might be useful. And in this case, there was, and hopefully you got some value out of it. If you did get some value out of this video and you would like to get more videos like this in the future, make sure that you like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so that you get notified the next time that a video comes out. Make sure that you drop a comment if you have any questions about what we did in this particular exercise, or if you need an explanation for any of the questions or anything like that. If you have a question, if you have a comment, if you just want to say hi, all that stuff, drop a comment below. It helps the channel actually get some more traction and things like that. But definitely make sure that you subscribe, because there is a lot of other videos that are going to be coming out in SOC level 1 as we refinish SOC level 1, and then we're going to go finish up SOC level 2, and then we have the AI for cybersecurity that's also in the works right now, and then I have the ethical hacker pen tester stuff that's going to be coming up. So there's a lot of great stuff that's coming up in the future on this particular channel. So make sure that you like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so that you get notified the next time that a video comes out, and of course drop a comment. If you're serious about your CySec training and want access to me on Discord, consider joining Hackaholics Anonymous. We have 4 tiers: the supporter, agent, guardian, and master, and each tier gets their own Discord server and early access to content. The agent, guardian, and master levels get exclusive content, exclusive downloads, monthly Python automations, live streams with me every month, plus so much more. And to join, you can simply click the link in the description below, or you can go to our homepage and click the join button there, or you can go to youtube.com/@hankhacks/hackers/join, and you will be able to join Hackaholics Anonymous. I hope I see you in the Discord chats. If not, I hope I see you in the comment section, and that is it. It's your boy Hank Hackerson at Hank Hacks Hackers, your favorite network and system attacker/protector. If no one else loves you, Hank loves you. Love, peace, and chicken grease, and I'll see you in the next video later.